key as a threat, but as a symbol. If they could stand against the Empire, perhaps anyone could. Varys sat on the bridge of his flagship, watching systems collapse one by one. His claws trembled on the console. One ship, one species. And yet the Empire falters, he growled. He had seen countless enemies defeated, countless rebellions crushed, and yet he had never faced a force like this. Humans did not fight out of obedience. They fought because survival was who they were. Mara issued her next orders. Redirect power to our long-range communicators. Send a broadcast to every Imperial sector. Let them see what happens when they underestimate humans. Make them feel our presence without firing another shot. The broadcast went live. Across sectors, Imperial officers watched human ships glide effortlessly past their fleets, disabling key systems with surgical precision. Mara's voice rang out. Humans do not seek war, but we do not bow. We do not surrender. We endure because we must. We survive because we refuse to be defeated. And we will continue until the galaxy understands that humans cannot be ignored or controlled. The message ignited chaos and inspiration. Some Imperial soldiers laid down their arms. Some governors secretly communicated with human forces. Entire worlds began to whisper. If humans could challenge the Empire, maybe it was time to fight back. Humanity had not just struck the Empire physically, they had struck its spirit. Mara looked around at her crew. This is only the beginning, she said, calm but resolute. We fight for survival, for respect, and for the truth. And the galaxy is finally beginning to see it. In the silent void of space, the Resolute glided onward, a single unregistered human ship against an empire in chaos. And with every strike, every broadcast, every calculated move, humanity's legend grew. The Empire was not yet defeated, but it had been forever changed. The galaxy had learned another lesson. Humans did not conquer through fear or destruction alone. They conquered through courage, ingenuity, and the unbreakable will to endure. And once humanity chose to show the galaxy what they were capable of, no one could ignore them. The galaxy had never seen anything like this. The Galactic Empire, once absolute, unchallenged, and feared across the stars, now wavered. Fleets hesitated, officers argued, and entire systems questioned their loyalty. One unregistered human ship had shattered centuries of control, and now the Empire faced the impossible, the unstoppable courage of humanity. Captain Mara Stone stood on the bridge of the Resolute, her eyes calm, her posture steady. Around her, her crew moved with quiet precision, fully aware that the moment had come to change the course of history. Prepare for the final phase, she said softly. Her voice carried the weight of generations of human endurance, of survival against impossible odds. The humans did not seek conquest, but they did not seek submission either. They fought because they had to, because it was who they were, and now they would show the galaxy exactly what that meant. Across Imperial space, panic had reached the highest levels. High Chancellor Viro's chambers were filled with anxious generals and trembling officers. We cannot stop them, one admiral admitted, his voice barely above a whisper. Every fleet we send, they evade, disable, or turn the battle back on us. One human ship, it has undone centuries of control. Varys's claws clenched on his command console. His mind raced, trying to predict moves he could not anticipate. He had faced alien invasions, civil uprisings, even supernova storms threatening fleets, but never had he felt so powerless. The humans did not obey logic, did not act predictably, and yet their strikes were devastating in effect, surgical in precision, and impossible to counter. Mara issued her orders calmly. Small human fleets, long hidden in deep space, emerged to support her movements. Strategic outposts fell, communication systems shut down, and Imperial fleets found themselves isolated, disorganized, and afraid. Humanity's presence was not measured in firepower alone. It was measured in courage, ingenuity, and sheer determination. Across the galaxy, whispers became voices, voices became movements, and movements became rebellion. Systems long oppressed under Imperial rule began to rise. Soldiers refused to fire on humans. Governors sent aid secretly, and entire fleets turned aside rather than fight. Humanity had become a symbol, a living proof that resistance, survival, and defiance were possible. Mara watched the results unfold through communications feeds. We do not destroy them, she said softly. We show them who humans are. That is enough. One ship, one crew. And yet, the galaxy is beginning to understand. The Empire's command centers were in disarray. Officers argued, fleets collided, and orders were ignored. Even the High Chancellor realized the truth. No amount of numbers, weapons, or strategy could crush a species that refused to bow, that adapted faster than predictions, and that inspired hope in every corner of the galaxy. Varys's voice trembled as he issued his final orders. Retreat, regroup, do whatever you must. But we cannot fight them. His pride, his certainty, his control, all shattered by the simple truth humans had shown. Survival, intelligence, and courage were stronger than fear, technology, or bureaucracy. In the void of space, the Resolute glided silently. Mara looked out at the stars, her voice barely a whisper. We did not come to conquer. We did not come to rule. We came to survive, to endure, and to remind the galaxy that humans cannot be underestimated. And now, they know. Her crew watched, hearts swelling with quiet pride. Humanity had faced the impossible and emerged victorious, not through overwhelming force but through courage, ingenuity, and the refusal to be broken. Across the stars, the legend of humans spread. A species underestimated for centuries, now a force that could not be ignored, a symbol of hope, defiance, and survival. The Empire had been tested and failed. Systems would rebuild, fleets would regroup, but one truth remained. Humans were unstoppable. They survived when all odds were against them. They endured when fear threatened to overwhelm them. They inspired when hope seemed lost. And somewhere in the galaxy, one small unregistered human ship sailed onward, carrying the spirit of an entire species. A species that refused to bow, refused to surrender, and refused to be forgotten. The stars shone brightly, and the universe had learned its final lesson: underestimate humans at your own peril. For humanity did not just survive, they thrived, and nothing in the galaxy would ever be the same again. Is one ship, one crew, and the Empire's perfect formations crumbled. Doubt seeped into the minds of even his most loyal officers. The battle continued, but the advantage had shifted. For the first time, the humans were not only surviving, they were winning. The Empire's confidence, once unshakable, was being replaced by fear and confusion. And somewhere deep in the void, the Resolute glided through the chaos, silent but unstoppable, a living symbol of human determination. The galaxy had begun to learn its second lesson. Numbers do not guarantee victory, and even the mightiest empire can be shaken by courage, intelligence, and the will to survive. Humanity had turned the tide, and the Empire would never be the same again. The chaos in Imperial space had reached levels no one had imagined possible. Fleets that once struck fear into entire star systems now faltered at the sight of a single unregistered human ship. Officers argued, generals panicked, and the High Chancellor's face was pale with disbelief. But the humans were not finished. Captain Mara Stone stood on the bridge of the Resolute, calm as ever. She turned to her crew, her eyes steady and unwavering. It's time they understand why humans survive, she said. Every human on the ship felt the weight of that moment. They were not just fighting for themselves. They were fighting to show the galaxy what humanity truly was. Mara activated the ship's communication array. She knew the Empire would hear her message whether they wanted to or not. Prepare for broadcast, she ordered. The crew worked silently, their training perfect, their hearts focused. The transmission began. Across the Empire, consoles flickered, screens lit up, and the message cut through every channel. Mara's voice was calm, clear, and filled with quiet authority. Humans are not your enemies. We do not seek conquest. We do not wish to destroy your fleets or worlds. But we will not bow to oppression. We will not surrender. We endure because we must. We survive because we refuse to be defeated. We adapt because the universe demands it. And if you attack us, you will see the limits of your power and the strength of ours. Silence fell across Imperial command centers. Officers stared at the screen, their jaws tight, their minds racing. Some whispered in disbelief, is this real? One ship, one species? High Chancellor Viro's face was pale, his hands gripping the edge of the council table. They speak with courage, he admitted softly, more to himself than anyone else. And they are right. This is not just a ship. This is a statement. A warning. Varys sat in stunned silence on his flagship. His mind reeled. He had faced countless enemies. witnessed entire fleets destroyed, and yet he had never encountered a species that could strike with such precision, such restraint, and such power all at once. Humans, he thought. They are something else entirely. The Empire's generals scrambled to respond, but hesitation and fear had taken root. Morale plummeted. Officers questioned orders. Some fleets even refused to engage, unsure how to act against a species that defied prediction. The humans' message had done what no weapons could. It had sown doubt, fear, and awe. On the Resolute, Mara looked around at her crew. They had not fired their deadliest weapons. They had not destroyed entire fleets. And yet the galaxy already trembled at their presence. Humans did not need to dominate through destruction. They dominated through spirit, strategy, and courage. Her second-in-command, Lieutenant Rin, spoke softly. "Captain, they are listening. Even the Empire cannot ignore this." Mara nodded. "Good, let them listen. Let them see. The galaxy must know the truth. Humans are not weak, humans are not simple, and humans will not be controlled. We survive, we endure, and we fight. Not for hatred, but because we cannot do otherwise." Across sectors, whispers began to spread. Citizens, soldiers, and leaders alike began to question what they had always believed about the Empire. Could a single human ship truly challenge their greatest fleets? Could one species really show the galaxy that survival and ingenuity mattered more than numbers and power? In the silence that followed Mara's message, the Empire began to fracture. Commands were ignored, fleets hesitated, and even the most loyal officers wondered if they had placed their faith in the wrong kind of strength. Varys clenched his claws in frustration, yet deep inside, he knew the truth. Humans had done what no one thought possible. They had turned fear into awe, chaos into revelation, and doubt into a weapon far stronger than any laser cannon. And somewhere in the vast emptiness of space, Mara Stone allowed herself a small smile. Humanity had spoken, and the galaxy had listened. The message was clear, simple, and unforgettable. Underestimate humans at your own peril. The galaxy had begun to tremble. The Empire, once absolute and unchallenged, was faltering. Fleets hesitated in orbit. Officers questioned orders, and whispers of fear and awe spread across star systems. Humanity's message had already reached countless ears, but words alone were not enough. Action was needed, and the humans were ready. Captain Mara Stone stood on the bridge of the Resolute, her eyes calm but burning with determination. Around her, the crew prepared for the next phase. "We strike not to destroy," she said softly, her voice steady. "We strike to show them the truth. Humans survive, humans endure, and humans never bow." Her plan was precise. Instead of confronting the Empire's strongest fleets head-on, she targeted key outposts and communications hubs. With surgical precision, humans disabled weapons arrays, disrupted supply lines, and sent messages of their presence and capability. Every strike was calculated. No lives were taken unnecessarily, but the Empire's control began to crumble. In the sector of Draven 9, a massive Imperial communications hub fell silent as human forces infiltrated its systems. Imperial officers scrambled to restore order, but every attempt was countered by human ingenuity. "They are everywhere," one officer muttered in disbelief. "How can one species coordinate so perfectly across space?" On the Resolute, Mara watched the chaos unfold through intercepted data streams. "They underestimate us," she said to her crew. "They think control is everything. But humans understand that power comes from adaptability, courage, and will, and that is why they are losing." Lieutenant Rin nodded. "Every fleet we disable, every outpost we bypass, the Empire begins to doubt itself." Indeed, the effect was immediate. Systems that once followed orders without question began to hesitate. Governors ignored commands. Soldiers refused to fire on humans. Even some admirals began secretly questioning whether they should risk their fleets against a species they had long dismissed. Humanity had sparked fear and hope in equal measure. The humans' attacks were not chaotic. They were precise lessons. On remote planets, humans repaired infrastructure after disabling military outposts, leaving the inhabitants alive and inspired. Messages of survival, courage, and ingenuity spread faster than Imperial propaganda ever could. Across the galaxy, people began to see humans know. The galaxy had known peace under the rule of the Galactic Empire for centuries. Its massive fleets patrolled every star system, and its laws were absolute. Every world knew that rebellion meant annihilation, and every species obeyed out of fear or respect. Order was the lifeblood of the Empire. Nothing escaped its watchful eyes, until now. Far at the edge of Imperial space, a ship appeared on the sensors that was unlike anything the Empire had ever seen. It was sleek, silent, and unregistered. No identification codes, no known markings, nothing in the Empire's vast databases. The officers on the bridge froze as the strange craft drew closer. Commander Varys, a tall, sharp-eyed alien with scales that shimmered under the bridge lights, leaned forward, his claws tapping nervously on the console. "Bring it up on the main screen," he ordered, his voice steady but carrying a hint of tension. The view screen flickered, and there it was, a ship that seemed simple in design but somehow powerful. Its silhouette cut a sharp line against the backdrop of stars. "Impossible," murmured Lieutenant Kaelor, his antennae twitching with unease. "Every ship in these sectors is accounted for. This ship does not exist in our records." A sudden voice over the intercom broke the silence. "Sir, sensors confirm it. It's human." The words hit the bridge like a hammer. Humans. The species had been considered primitive for centuries, isolated on a small, backward planet. Their technology was basic, their fleets tiny, and their influence negligible. And yet here they were, emerging at the edge of the Empire's territory. Commander Varys felt a cold shiver run down his spine. Humans should have been incapable of even interstellar travel, let alone appearing here unregistered and unafraid. Varys's claws gripped the console. "Prepare weapons," he ordered, his voice now sharp with urgency. "Notify all nearby fleets. Do not let this ship pass unnoticed. We cannot underestimate them." Across the void, aboard the human ship, the Resolute, Captain Mara Stone stood in the control room, calm and focused. Unlike the Imperial officers, she felt no fear, only determination. Her crew moved with precision, their hands and minds trained for a single purpose: survival against impossible odds. "All hands prepare for evasive maneuvers," Mara said. Her voice was calm but carried an authority that demanded attention. "Keep shields at maximum and weapons on standby. Remember, they don't know what humans are capable of. Let's give them a lesson." Her crew nodded. Every member of the Resolute had been chosen for their courage, ingenuity, and ability to act under pressure. They trusted each other completely, because trust was the only thing that had kept humans alive through centuries of hardship. Back on the Imperial bridge, panic began to grow. The human ship moved with impossible agility. Scans showed shields absorbing blasts that would have obliterated any known vessel. The fleet's targeting system struggled to track it. "It's surviving everything we throw at it," whispered Kaelor, disbelief in his voice. Varys's jaw tightened. "Adapt, change strategies. Do not let them escape." On the Resolute, Mara leaned back slightly, a small, confident smile touching her lips. "They're about to learn why humans are never easy to defeat," she said softly. The ship twisted and darted through the asteroid field like a living creature, using every natural advantage, every cunning tactic, every instinct. As the humans maneuvered, Imperial officers began to argue. "We have never seen anything like this," one shouted. "Our ships, our fleets, they are useless against a single human vessel." Varys slammed a claw on the console. "Impossible. We are the Empire. Nothing can defy us." But deep down, even he knew this was unlike anything he had faced. Something primal and unstoppable seemed to flow through the humans. A courage, a cunning, a refusal to bow. The Empire had faced countless enemies, but never a species that refused to be measured, catalogued, or feared. The stars stretched past as the chase began, silent and tense. One unregistered human ship against the might of the Galactic Empire. And for the first time in centuries, the Empire realized that the universe held something truly unknown. This was the beginning of a story that no one in the galaxy would ever forget. The first volleys of laser fire cut through the darkness of space. Imperial cruisers moved with precision, confident that their training and superior numbers would overwhelm the unregistered ship. Yet the humans on the Resolute were ready. The blasts that should have shattered their hull merely glanced off shields, sparks flying harmlessly into space. Captain Mara Stone's eyes were sharp and steady. "Evasive maneuvers, full thrusters," she commanded. Her crew reacted instantly, adjusting shields, redirecting power, and calculating escape trajectories. Every human on the bridge moved as one mind, synchronized, precise, calm. They did not panic. Fear had never been their guide. Instinct and intelligence were. On the Imperial flagship, Commander Varys clenched his claws. "What is happening?" he roared. "Our weapons should destroy them." The officers around him struggled to understand. Targeting systems flickered. Tracking projections failed, and every attack seemed anticipated before it happened. Impossible, Varys thought. Nothing in Imperial history suggested that a single ship, unregistered and alone, could survive against a fleet. Lieutenant Kaelor whispered almost to himself. They're learning faster than our AI can predict." Varys slammed his claw on the console, sending a shiver through the bridge. "Then we hit harder. Fire all batteries, focus everything on that ship." Outside, the Resolute twisted and darted through a dense asteroid field. Rocks and debris became shields and cover. The humans used the natural hazards of space as allies, forcing Imperial cruisers to maneuver recklessly. One by one, lasers struck harmlessly into asteroids or were deflected by human shields. The human ship moved not like a machine, but like a living, thinking entity, fluid and unpredictable. "Helm, adjust for the next vector," Mara instructed, pointing at the swirling field ahead. "Bring the fleet to chase us, not hit us. Keep them busy and frustrated." Her crew smiled faintly at her words. They knew the humans' advantage was not just technology, but the mind behind it. They anticipate, they adapt, they survive. Every move was calculated, yet spontaneous, a combination of experience, instinct, and a will to endure. Across the Imperial fleet, panic began to rise. Officers shouted orders, some contradicting others, as frustration mounted. Every new calculation failed. Every tactic was countered. Varys's confidence, once unshakable, started to crack. The unregistered ship was not only evading destruction, it was teaching the Empire how wrong they had been. Meanwhile, Mara considered the humans' true goal. "We don't want destruction," she said softly to herself. "We need to make them see that humans are not weak, not insignificant. Let them understand what it means to face us." Small bursts of controlled fire from the Resolute disabled weapons on the pursuing cruisers without destroying them. Imperial officers scrambled to repair systems, only to find new malfunctions in areas they thought secure. The humans' actions were not chaotic. They were deliberate, a demonstration of control and ingenuity. Varys's voice was harsh and desperate. "Target them. Do not let them escape." But the more the Empire tried, the more the humans slipped past. The Resolute moved like a shadow, using speed, intelligence, and cunning. Each close call became a lesson for the Imperial fleet. Every failed strike added to the tension on their command bridges. "Sir," Kaelor said, trembling slightly, "they're outmaneuvering us. And I think they want us to see it." Varys roared in frustration, but deep inside even he knew the truth. These humans were unlike any enemy he had faced. They did not fight out of duty, fear, or greed. They fought because it was who they were. Humans survived. Humans endured. Humans adapted. And the Imperial fleet was learning, too late, that some things could not be controlled. Outside, stars streaked past as the chase continued. The unregistered human hip darted between asteroids and lasers, moving faster than thought possible. Mara leaned back in her chair for a brief moment, the faintest smile on her lips. "Let them watch," she whispered. "Let them see what humans are made of." In that moment, one truth became clear. The Galactic Empire had never faced a threat like this. One human ship, a crew of determined souls, was already shaking the foundations of centuries of order. And the galaxy would never be the same. The news of the human ship spread across the Empire faster than any military dispatch. Reports came in from every sector. "An unregistered vessel has evaded our patrols. It's human. They are not following any known protocols." Across command centers, panic rippled like wildfire. The words human and impossible were whispered on every bridge. In the grand halls of the Imperial Council, High Chancellor Vero paced back and forth. The chamber, normally a place of absolute control and order, now vibrated with tension. "If this ship reaches the core worlds," he said sharply, "it could ignite rebellion. We cannot allow humans to challenge our authority. Not now, not ever." Generals and admirals exchanged nervous glances. Many had fought countless wars across the galaxy, yet none had faced this. Fleet after fleet sent reports of failure. Tactical calculations, war simulations, and AI predictions. Everything failed. "Chancellor," one admiral admitted, his voice trembling slightly, We've deployed the best fleets in these sectors. Every strategy we attempt is countered. They adapt faster than we can react. Varys sat on the command bridge of his flagship, staring at the chaotic readings on his console. For the first time in his long career, he felt fear. The human ship was not just evading capture. It was teaching the Empire that their certainty was a lie. Every maneuver they tried, every tactic they used had been anticipated and outsmarted. The humans were not just surviving. They were demonstrating superiority in unpredictability and adaptability. Meanwhile, aboard the Resolute, Captain Mara Stone watched the Empire's panic unfold through intercepted communications. She felt no joy in their fear, only quiet determination. Humans had always survived against impossible odds, and the galaxy had long underestimated them. Her crew moved with calm precision, every action purposeful. They knew the Empire did not yet understand what they faced, and that was exactly how it should be. Every step they take is reactive, Mara said softly to her second-in-command. They are learning that humans are not like any other species. They think in numbers and protocols. We think in survival and ingenuity, and that is what will win this encounter. Her words carried the truth of millennia of human history. Humans adapted, humans endured, humans never bowed to fear. Across the galaxy, the simple existence of one unregistered human ship was enough to create doubt among soldiers, officers, and civilians alike. Entire fleets hesitated when they heard reports of the humans' maneuvers. Rumors of bravery, cunning, and survival spread faster than any imperial order. On Varys's bridge, officers began to argue. "We must hit them harder," one shouted. "No, we must cut off all escape routes," another countered. Chaos replaced coordination. Even the most disciplined admirals could not understand a species that refused to follow expected patterns. The humans' resilience was a mirror reflecting the fragility of imperial certainty. Deep in the corridors of imperial bureaucracy, whispers of revolt began to stir. Governors questioned their loyalty. Captains wondered if they could trust commands. If a single human ship could disrupt entire fleets, then what hope did the Empire have of controlling the countless worlds it claimed to rule? Back on the Resolute, Mara smiled faintly. "They don't see the full picture yet," she said. "We are not here to destroy them. We are here to show them that humans will never submit, never surrender, and never be underestimated." Every human on the ship felt the same quiet pride. For centuries, humanity had been underestimated, written off as primitive, weak, or insignificant. And now their existence alone was shaking the foundations of the galaxy's greatest empire. Commander Varys slammed his claw on the console in frustration. "This cannot continue. How can one human ship cause so much chaos?" he shouted. Deep down he knew the answer. Humans were different, unpredictable, determined, resilient. They did not fight by rules or fear. They fought because they had to survive, because they refused to yield. The Empire, once unshakable and supreme, now teetered. Doubt and fear had taken root in the minds of commanders and officers alike. And somewhere in the vastness of space, the humans watched, calm and confident, knowing that they had already changed the course of the galaxy. The galaxy had learned its first lesson. Humans were not to be underestimated. And for the Empire, the shadow of panic had only just begun. The Empire believed it had the advantage. Massive fleets, advanced weapons, and centuries of control should have made the humans nothing more than a fleeting curiosity. But as the Resolute moved deeper into contested space, the tide began to turn. Captain Mara Stone's ship darted through the debris fields of Crelan 5, weaving in and out of asteroids like a living creature. Imperial scanners struggled to keep up, their predictions failing as if the ship itself was alive. Mara's eyes flicked over the displays with calm precision. "Helm, prepare for the next maneuver. Shields at maximum. Keep engines steady." Her crew worked seamlessly, adjusting power, redirecting energy to weak points, and preparing small, precise attacks. Every action was calculated, every move deliberate. Unlike the Empire, humans did not rely solely on brute force. They relied on strategy, adaptability, and courage. They did not seek total destruction. They sought control and awareness. Across the battlefield, the Imperial fleet floundered. Their cruisers collided with debris. Their targeting systems scrambled, and panic grew among their officers. Commander Varys slammed his claw on the console in frustration. "What is happening? How can one human ship cause this much chaos?" Lieutenant Kaelor, usually composed, stared at the readings with disbelief. Sir, every move they make is calculated. They anticipate our patterns. They're not just surviving, they're dictating the battle. Vera's eyes narrowed. Then we changed the rules. Fire everything. But Mara was ready. The Resolute launched small, precise strikes that disabled key turrets on several Imperial ships without destroying the vessels. Imperial officers scrambled to repair the damage, only to find new malfunctions in areas they thought secure. Each strike was surgical, intentional, and humiliating to the Empire. Mara spoke softly to her crew, her voice calm but firm. They underestimate us because they rely on numbers and firepower. We rely on instinct and intelligence. Let them chase shadows while we control the battlefield. The humans' movements were more than tactics, they were a lesson. Every Imperial officer watching the skirmish saw it clearly. One human ship, with no allies and no reinforcements, was capable of outmaneuvering entire fleets. It was not luck. It was humanity. Varys's voice trembled as he barked orders. Focus fire!
Cut them off from the asteroid field.
But the humans anticipated even that. Using the natural hazards of space, Mara turned the battlefield to her advantage. Imperial ships collided with debris or blocked each other, while the Resolute moved freely, striking only when necessary. The Empire was no longer dictating the fight. The humans were. Across the galaxy, word of the humans' strategy spread. Fleet commanders whispered in disbelief, senators questioned their loyalty, and the council began to fear that the humans could inspire entire sectors to rebel. Even the most disciplined soldiers wondered how a single unregistered ship could create so much disruption. Mara looked out at the stars, her hands steady on the controls. We fight not for conquest, she said quietly. We fight to show them that humans will not bow. Not to fear, not to numbers, not to authority. Her crew, trained through years of discipline and trust, felt the weight of her words. They were humans, yes, but more than that, they were survivors, thinkers, and warriors. And they were about to teach the galaxy a lesson it had forgotten. Humans adapt. Humans endure. Humans never surrender. Varys's claws trembled on the console. He had seen entire fleets fall to alien attacks before, but never like the